Good morning to you. Today we are continuing with the Constitution class. Today we are taking up Article 32, Right to Constitutional Remedy. As you know, this is the most important article in the Constitution. Remedy for enforcement of fundamental rights. It is an admitted fact that the Declaration of Fundamental Rights have no meaning if there is no effective machinery for enforcement. So, Article 32 provides a guaranteed remedy for enforcing fundamental rights conferred in Part 3 of the Constitution. This remedial right is itself made a fundamental right by being included in Part 3. Supreme Court is thus, as you know, the protector and guarantor of fundamental rights. Supreme Court cannot refuse to entertain an application seeking protection against infringement of fundamental rights. This is the reason why Dr. Ambedkar, while doing his introductory speech, declared in Parliament as under. He said, quote, "If I am asked to name any particular article in this Constitution as the most important, without which the entire Constitution will become a nullity." Remember, nullity. Nullity means zero. I could not refer to any other article except Article 32. So, this is an eyeball of the Constitution. Most important article. I remember to told you at the initial stage itself, two pillars we have. One pillar is Article 13 and another pillar is Article 32. The Article 32 has been made as a basic structure, remember. Article 32 is basic structure of the Constitution. There are 4 sections under Article 32, 4 provisos. The first section is general in nature. It is a guarantee to move the Supreme Court for enforcement of fundamental right. That is, right to move Supreme Court for enforcement of fundamental right. The second proviso empowers the Supreme Court to issue any direction or order or the writs in the nature of habeas corpus, mandamus, prohibition, certiorari, and quo warranto for enforcement of fundamental rights. Remember, 5 writs are given, and these are all prerogative writs, as in the British. The third provision empowers the Parliament to make a law empowering any other court to exercise within its local limits of jurisdiction all or any other powers now exercisable by the Supreme Court. Remember, under this proviso, the Parliament has the power to authorize any other court with the powers which are now exercised by the Supreme Court. Here 2 points you should remember. One is, Constitution itself has authorized High Court under Article 226 to issue the prerogative writs for enforcement of not only fundamental rights but also other rights also. Remember, That is the difference between Article 32 and Article 226. Article 32 can, under Article 32, the right to move Supreme Court for enforcement of only fundamental right. If you make an application for enforcement of legal right or other violation of principles of natural justice, Supreme Court is not bound to accept it. It will say you go to the High Court. Whereas, being the custodian of the Constitution, being Article 32 itself made a fundamental right, Supreme Court has to admit any writ petition against infringement of fundamental rights. So, the mandatory provision for under Article 32 for the Supreme Court. But the scope is less. The scope is limited to enforcement of fundamental rights only. On the other hand, High Court under Article 226 can exercise the writ jurisdiction not only for enforcement of fundamental rights, but also for violation of any other right, including legal right, constitutional right, or even principles of natural justice. But, remember, it is not mandatory for High Court to accept it, because this is discretionary. Scope of Article 226 is wider, but discretionary. In Supreme Court under Article 32, the scope is narrow, but mandatory. So, this is the two difference between Article 226 empowering High Court and another Article 32 giving the powers to the Supreme Court. So, already the Constitution has given the powers to the High Court, but under Article 32, Parliament has powers to empower any other court with the same powers as are enjoyed by the Supreme Court at present. Another point you should remember is, the Parliament has the powers to entrust the powers of the Supreme Court to any other court. But remember, Parliament has no powers to take away or reduce the powers of the Supreme Court. So, one side Parliament can give the powers to other court. There is no objection. But at the same time, Parliament has no power to reduce or take away or abridge or curtail the powers of Supreme Court which are now enjoyed by it. So, remember, this is the point you should remember very carefully. Another thing is the fourth proviso. Fourth proviso is, it provides that the right to constitutional remedy cannot be suspended except as otherwise provided in the Constitution. Except otherwise provided in the Constitution. What is the except as otherwise provided in the Constitution? When under Article 352, national emergency is declared, President can invoke on Article 359 and suspend Article 32 for the purpose of all fundamental rights except Article 20 and 21. So, President of India will invoke Article 359 when the national emergency under Article 352 is declared. Then the President will invoke Article 359 and suspend Article 32 for the purpose of all fundamental rights except Article 20 and 21. And I remember, I have already told you that Article 19, that is 7 freedom, automatically stands suspended during national emergency if the national emergency is declared on the ground of war or external aggression, not for armed rebellion. So, these are all the 4 provisions of Article 32. One is a guarantee, second is issuing prerogative writs, third is powers of the Parliament, fourth is it cannot be suspended except as otherwise provided in the Constitution. Okay. Now, remember, we will now explain what are the powers, what are the writs. What do you mean by writs? Writs is, we have seen 5 kinds of writs. We have seen 5 kinds of writs. One is mandamus, second is, first is habeas corpus, mandamus, prohibition, certiorari, and quo warranto. These are all the 5 writs that can be issued by the Supreme Court under Article 32 and High Court under Article 226 for enforcement of fundamental right by Supreme Court, for enforcement of fundamental right and other rights by High Court under Article 226. Now, first let us see what do you mean by habeas corpus. Habeas corpus means produce the body, bring the body. It is a Latin term. Writ is nothing but a direction of the court to any authority who is detaining another, ordering him to bring the body of the person at a specified time to a specified place for a specified purpose. The purpose being to set him at liberty if he is confined without any legal jurisdiction. Remember, it is normally issued only against the state, rarely against private individuals. Because if a private individual confines anyone, it is an offense. It is an offense. It is an offense under Indian Penal Code. So that does not occur. So normally the person is detained by the state authorities. Remember. Secondly, this writ is not issued in 4 cases. What are the 4 cases? Number 1, if the detention is lawful, let us say preventive detention, it is a lawful. Secondly, if the proceedings are for contempt of court or contempt of legislature, then obviously. Third is, if the detention is by a competent court, only after taking the orders of the court, if the detention is ordered, that is perfectly all right. Fourthly, if the detention is outside the jurisdiction of the court. See, if it is at the High Court, the orders of the High Court is applicable only within that state. So there is a jurisdictional problem. So that should be taken into account. In 4 cases, this is the habeas corpus cannot go. So remember, number 1. Second is mandamus. Mandamus means we command, we order, mandate. You know perhaps, mandate. Mandate means we order. That is, this is an order of the Supreme Court or High Court commanding a person or a body of person to do what is his duty or not to do what is not entitled to do. Remember. So it requires performance of duty, or if it is not a duty, then don't do it. So it wants two things. One is, if it is a duty, you perform. And what he performs is not a duty, cease from doing it. This is the 2. Now remember, I give an example in this case. Say, let us say, God willing, you have qualified civil service. Preliminary cleared, final cleared, interview cleared, and you have been selected for civil service. Your rank is, let us say, 100. You have been recommended by the UPSC to the Department of Personnel and Training. Department of Personnel and Training has issued orders for all the people. 99 people issued orders. 100, your rank number is, for example, let us say 100. You have not been given any orders. 101 appointed, 102 appointed, 103 appointed, 105 appointed, 115 appointed. So you become restless. Now remember, you have a duty to be appointed. You have a right to be appointed, and DOP has a duty to appoint you. So both right and duty go together. So you have a right to appeal to the Supreme Court asking for a mandamus to Department of Personnel or issue of your appointment orders. Remember, it commands a person to do some public or quasi-public legal duty to which you are entitled. You have a right. In other words, the applicant should have a legal right to the performance of legal duty. It can be issued against any public body or corporation or tribunal or inferior court or government. Remember, the mandamus cannot be issued in 4 cases. Again, 5 cases. Remember, 5 cases mandamus cannot be issued. Number 1, against a private individual it cannot be issued unless the state is also in collusion. both the state and the private individuals are hand in glove, then it can be issued. Secondly, if the duty is only discretionary, if the duty is discretionary, no mandamus can be issued. I give an example. Let us say for government servant, central employee, the DA has been frozen now. Now you file a petition before the Supreme Court for sanction of DA, asking the Supreme Court to give a direction to the central government to pay a dearness allowance. It will not be entertained, because sanction of dearness allowance is not a duty, it is a discretionary part, a discretionary duty of the central government. So the duty should be mandatory. If it is discretionary, mandamus cannot be issued. Secondly, to enforce contractual obligation, if it is contractual obligation, it cannot be enforced through mandamus. Secondly, against President or Governor, President of India or Governor of the State under Article 361. Similarly, against the Chief Justice of the High Court or Judges of the Supreme Court or High Court, it cannot be issued. So, this is the mandamus. Now we are coming to the prohibition. Prohibition means stop, prevent, prohibit, forbid. These are all the synonyms of prohibition. It is issued by a higher court to a lower court to prevent the lower court from exceeding its jurisdiction or usurping its jurisdiction. That it is issued to the lower court when the lower court is exceeding its jurisdiction. I give a very easy example. Let us say in a village, a murder has taken place. FIR filed, investigation over, and the police people filed a petition, filed the case before the second class magistrate. Remember, murder under section 302 cannot be tried by a second class magistrate. So what he will do? He will say in the case file, I commit the case to the sessions. So what he is expected to do? He will commit the case to the sessions. Let us imagine, instead of committing the case to sessions, he started trying. So what is the implication? He is usurping the jurisdiction of the sessions court. So at this stage, you can ask the Supreme Court to issue the prohibition, writ of prohibition. What for? To prohibit usurpation of jurisdiction of the higher court. So the intention is to take the suit from the jurisdiction of the lower court to the higher court. From the jurisdiction of the lower court to the higher court, so that the higher courts take cognizance of the case. That is called prohibition. Remember, prohibition and mandamus. Compare. Mandamus commands activity. Prohibition commands inactivity. Mandamus is not only against the judicial authorities, quasi-judicial authorities, but also against administrative authorities. Whereas prohibition is against only normally quasi-judicial and judicial authorities. This is prohibition. Now, thirdly, we are coming to the certiorari. What is certiorari? Certiorari means to be certified. To be certified. That is, to be informed. Another meaning is to be informed. This is issued by the Supreme Court or High Court for removal of a suit from an inferior court to the superior court. Remember, it is continuation of prohibition. It seeks to the suit to be removed from the inferior court to the superior court. It is issued to bring up the decision of the inferior court to the superior court with a view to it being quashed. Because the same example which I told you, let us say the second class magistrate, in continuation of his trial, he has given the orders also. The person who has committed the crime of what is called culpable homicide amounting to murder is to be hanged till death. He has pronounced the decision also. So not only he usurped the jurisdiction, he had issued an order which is illegal. So the certiorari is filed to nullify an order issued illegally. So remember, what is the comparison between prohibition and certiorari? Prohibition is interim. Certiorari final. So both the writ petition can be filed simultaneously. One is preventive and another is curative. So preventive is prohibition, curative is what is known as certiorari. So both can be done simultaneously. And remember, this is both only against the judicial and quasi-judicial authority. But in 1991, there is an order, there is a judgment of the court that the certiorari can be issued against administrative authorities also. This is an order, it is a judgment in respect of certiorari. Second, the fifth is what is known as quo warranto. Quo warranto means show your authority how you are occupying this place. Show your authority how you are occupying this place. I will give an example. Let us say 100 people have been selected for civil service and all the 100 are appointed. And the 100th fellow, unfortunately, he did not qualify the requirement of appearing for civil service. There was some mistake. UPSC never commits such mistake, but it's imaginary. So in that case, the ab initio, his recruitment to the civil service is void. He is the 100th fellow. The fellow, he has, he actually is not eligible for appearing for civil service. He was allowed, he qualified, he passed, he is appointed also. Now the fellow who is waiting at the first number waiting list fellow files the petition of quo warranto. Please show how this fellow is occupying the post. Show the authority under which he is occupying the post. Remember, most importantly, the office against which the quo warranto is issued should be of legal nature, statutory post, created by law, not otherwise. Small some organization or some Sangh, etc. No, the office will be as a result of statutory creation. It is the legal nature. Then only then it will be entertained. This is the most important. Normally, the quo warranto, except quo warranto, for all other writs, you have to prove your locus standi. But quo warranto, it is not necessary. Let us say in the Ram Lakhan Yadav case, in the one of the no confidence motion. See, it is equality of vote. That vote cast in favor of the government is in doubt. In that case, quo warranto was issued. So naturally, quo warranto means under what authority you are holding this office. So here, as far as quo warranto is concerned, the principle of locus standi is not applied, because any interested person can file the petition of quo warranto. So we have seen all the 5 writs. What are the 5 writs? First is habeas corpus, second is mandamus, prohibition, certiorari, quo warranto. And habeas corpus produce the body, and mandamus we command order, and the prohibition to prohibit, the preventive, certiorari is curative, and quo warranto is show your authority how you are occupying the office. And sixthly, there is one more thing, what is called injunction. Injunction is nothing, it is as good as the prohibition. One is preventive injunction and another is mandatory injunction. This is normally for the civil remedy, civil case. So we have completed Article 32. What are the powers of the Supreme Court under Article 32? What is the difference between High Court and the Supreme Court in respect of writ jurisdiction? Remember, Supreme Court enjoys the writ jurisdiction. It is the original jurisdiction, but not exclusive. It is no doubt it is original jurisdiction, but not exclusive. Why it is not exclusive? High Court also enjoys. So no doubt it is original. No doubt it is original jurisdiction, but not exclusive. Court, very important. It is not an exclusive, because High Court also enjoys the same powers. So another important thing which I have already told you, Article 32 is a basic structure, and most important article, Article 13 and Article 32. So with this, the fundamental rights will be over. Of course, we have got Article 33, 34, 35. These 3 articles are there in part 3. After that, we will come to directive principles of state policy, that is part 4. Thank you.